Okay. Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm
Oh,
Kristen at Elevate, and hello, Christine.
hello.
Oh, so excited. We're doing a little interview today so that our community can get to know you a little bit better. We're just so excited to have some phenomenal, really wonderful, like-hearted people coming to the Elevate community, offering wonderful workshops and services. So, Christine, can you just introduce yourself and share a bit about what you do?
Sure. I'm Christine Rapp, and I started finding Dharma, gosh, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. The idea came to me, and it's been slowly developing since. But basically, what I do is I teach classes. I do individual, gosh, I guess I can call it mentoring is the best idea. But really, what I want to do with finding Dharma and the purpose is to empower others to live their best their best life according to truly who they are. And so that involves all kinds of things from mindfulness to awareness of self to breaking through fear and old belief patterns and building your intuition and all sorts of things.
Wow. Yeah. And so I didn't mention, but you and I met in like this time of great awakening,
Yeah.
spiritual awakening. We took classes together and we really bonded. And I think maybe one of the reasons I'm so drawn to you as a friend and a colleague is because it's that exact approach that was required for me to go through the life transition I was going through when I met you, right? Like this
Yeah.
big career change, leaving my full-time career as an educator and choosing this leap of total faith into the healing arts. And you were going through, I would say, a similar, like really big, profound transition. And
Yep.
so seems like a lot of what you do in your work is helping people really get in touch with their authentic self, and so intuition is a big part of that. You mentioned mindfulness and intuition, and you offer these incredible intuitive development workshops. So can you talk about your approach to getting to know intuition?
Yeah. So I think the reason I wanted to create these classes is because I feel like when in the times that we're living in right now, these last few years, there's been so much fear and so much that is taking us with outside of ourselves.
Mm,
Um, and in a way, it doesn't serve us. And it makes it more and more difficult for us to feel grounded and secure and to know really what's right for us,
mm,
without kind of relying on what the world is trying to tell us, because there's so many different voices going on that really what we need to do is listen to our own. And that's all we need to do. And so I started getting this idea about creating this intuitive development class. And then I really became passionate about it because one thing I'm really good at as an empath is, and I'm also an educator. So I come from the classroom. So my shift now is to be an educator, but really about self empowerment. And I really believe in my heart and soul that all of us are here because we're meant to be the truest and best self,
mm.
and to bring those gifts to the world. And I think intuition is the key to that. And so that's what I really wanted to do. And I wanted to create a workshop that would allow people who are either curious about their own intuitive skills and wondering if that's something that they're capable of, which I think everyone is, or if it's taking the next step, that these workshops would be fun and playful and creative and spaces where people could really explore their own intuitive soul language and get to know it and really stop relying on the outer world informing them about what is true and what is right and how they should be and how they should function in the world so that they can really start doing that on their own.
Right. And it really does require like a safe space to do that because it's easy to to feel vulnerable, right? When you're like, am I crazy or am I connected? Am I seeing this or hearing this or whatever, right? So,
Yeah.
that takes a lot of love and a lot of self-love and empowerment and practice, which you absolutely offer in your workshops. So what I would say, what is the direction you hope to bring people who might take classes with you who are, or I guess, let me back that up. Who do you think would benefit from intuitive development workshops? We said we don't want to call them workshops, playtime,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah, we're
not
gonna
work.
we're gonna work on that and we'll see what we're gonna call it, because I do want it to be about playfulness and creativity and joy.
Yeah.
Because I think as soon as and we talked about the definition of intuition and how rationalization has no role in it. So it really has to be this imaginative, playful, kind of experimental, magical thing.
Mm,
I think anyone could benefit from these classes. I think in my mind's eye, what I wanted to do was really open that door for people who maybe are newbies or are just curious or are hopeful that this is something that they are capable of doing, to really show them that it's there. All they have to
yeah.
do is start being aware and having faith and trust and getting to know themselves on that level, which I don't think very many of us have ever been taught to rely on our inner wisdoms and to act from that place of inner knowing. I think we're always looking outside of ourselves for validation and
Ah,
we're always putting power outside of ourselves. We're looking for the guru. Well, I believe that we're all our own guru,
mm,
and getting to know your inner wisdom is your inner intuition, and that's all you need. So that was my hope, but that doesn't mean that people who are really getting used to listening to that inner voice and looking for those signs from their angels and numbers, if they've taken your numerology class, or seeing the feathers on the sidewalk, and but really want to take it to the next level, that really want to start getting to know what are their clear senses that work the best for them. And everyone has their own symbolic soul language, and getting to know how your soul speaks to you and how those messages are conveyed to you, and really building kind of an encyclopedia of your own innate intuitive language. That's really the goal of the class. So it could be for anyone.
right. And it's like, it doesn't have to be scary. This is fun. This is exploring. And so I think you had mentioned that we are each our own teacher. That's a philosophy that I share as well, right? Like even here at Elevate, we say
Yeah.
the space for creative teachers, learners, and healers, but with the understanding that it's all one and the same. We're all so that said, there I feel like we really benefit when a facilitator comes along and just hands off a piece of wisdom or prompts to really promote reflection and learning and like that aha moment, and we find what we need when we're looking for it. So I just have to say to anyone watching, I just think anyone would be so lucky to stumble into your presence.
Oh,
And yeah, just to have this kind of approach. And I just imagine if I were to go back as a child or a teenager, I mean, I was really, I was closed off to a degree as a teenager or as a young adult. And just when I wanted to know more, like, why do I get these feelings? Why do I keep seeing or hearing the same things? It would have made it less stressful and more magical, like you had said. So yeah, what are some of the things that you imagine doing in your workshops to help create a magical energy around unearthing your intuition?
so I want to say a little bit to that point of, I for me, being part of a community like you've created at Elevate, or that I found at other centers when I was taking classes, and just being part of a group where we are all open to exploring this and kind of becoming vulnerable and sharing, oh, well, this is the feeling that I got in this meditation. And then realizing that three other people in the room saw the exact same thing that I did, or had the same goosebumps when they felt, something move through the room, or shared the smell or a recollection or of something, all of those becoming vulnerable in a space with other people who are kind of taking the same journey was one of the most empowering moments on my path, but also really kind of sped up my
Uh,
own intuitive development, because when you're doing it on your own, you can question a lot and you doubt a lot, and
uh,
people really don't believe in themselves. And when you have others that are there to share and to lift you up and to validate that, yes, what you're experiencing is not your imagination, it just empowers you and makes you have faith and trust even more in your own intuitive abilities. And so that's why I think any of these classes or offerings and workshops that are going on at Elevate are going to be so beneficial, because it's a lot about community too. It's about being the individual, but also being part of a community that supports you being the individual that you are.
right. Like as like energy comes together, it just kind of amplifies the learning and the growth experience. So thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're lucky. We're lucky to have teachers like you
yeah,
here. And I wanted to mention, because there's such an emphasis on community, and we're fortunate to be able to come together in person now. So we're doing workshops in person in the studio. But of course, there are always people, maybe long distance, or someone who wants to take the workshop, but they know they're going to miss this date or that date. Can you share a little bit about how we're really trying to accommodate and make this accessible for everyone, even if they can't
yeah.
meet in person?
Yeah. So that was really kind of one of our priorities when we were talking about how to how to make this series kind of come alive and be open to as many people as possible. So just to backtrack a little bit, the way I structured the classes, in your previous question, you had asked that, and then I went off on the community and how great the community is. But what I really wanted to do, I looked back in different ways that um, the world outside of me, so things in the world outside of me, have become the messenger bearers for my intuition to come through. So each class I have developed centers around one of those aspects. So colors, for example. So I will facilitate everyone being in a space where through meditation they have kind of calmed down and opened up to their soul. And from there, using different exercises and different tactile techniques and different creative ways of expressing ourselves and connecting with these things, crystals, colors, elements from nature, symbols. I was even thinking that we could do the astrological signs. I really want people to become used to the idea of they are their own guru, they're the expert. And yes, it's great to go to books and to read from other books. And so if some of you may know my story and some of you may not, but this is kind of part of my experience now, in that in the last 5 years, I've really shifted away and been forced to kind of leave behind looking to reference works for the answers and for the wisdom. And I've really been forced to go within and to really trust that. And the more I trust it, the more I open myself up to it, the more real it becomes. And the more I realize that I know a lot more using my intuitive innate senses than I've ever given myself credit for, and that I don't need someone else to tell me what a crystal means, that this quartz crystal can mean something for me, but it may mean something completely different from you. And neither one of us is completely right or completely wrong. Like, we just have to trust in what we get. And so that's what this class is about. And that's how I've structured it. So we get to explore in lots of different ways what your intuitive language is.
Yeah. So even
So what,
from a point of where people are just opening up to this, and it's just playtime and it's just fun and it's experiencing our connection in that way. And then I see this also impacting um, say someone who wants to really get into channeling or mediumship, and really connecting and getting putting together that encyclopedia that you've created of like, well, when I see this, how do I interpret that? What's the message? What's the meaning, right? It could
yes,
cover
exactly.
a
And it's really, and it's really allow yourself to be who you are. So just to give a quick example, I did Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. And every time I went to a Reiki share and everyone was standing around the table and doing the energy work with their hands, I found myself sitting on the floor at the head of the person and just speaking messages. I wasn't using my hands. I wasn't doing any of the traditional Reiki things that we were supposed to be practicing. And at first, I didn't want to do that. And I just, oh, I should be feeling this with my hands. But that's just who I am. And that's part of my purpose, is to bring messages through to other people and to channel these messages through. And I just needed to give into that without questioning it and wondering why. And it's not following the prescription of what a Reiki share is supposed to be. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? And that's what getting more and more used to just following your intuition is about. It's about just realizing that you don't have to follow the prescribed expectations and guidelines of what the world around you is telling you. And it becomes so magical and it becomes so much fun. And you really start to enjoy being who you were meant to be, because it's just magical when you start
Mm.
realizing what is going on and letting go of all this other stuff.
Oh,
So
I love it.
um, your question was about how we were going to structure it. So we really wanted to make it accessible for as many people as possible. So we will have in person and at the same time be doing live Zooms, but we'll also be recording the Zooms. So you have different options of doing it. If you don't feel comfortable being in person with a group of people, you can do the live Zooms. And if you can't make the time, then you can always just get the recordings. And the workbook will be in PDF format that I've created to go along with it. So you'll always, every class, be able to download and print that off if you can't be in person in the classroom. So I think we kind of have covered all the bases for
Yeah.
everyone.
Definitely. So people can be as involved as they want. And it's just good to know because, we were talking about just it's easy to get really busy these days. And on a day like a Saturday, it's really common that people are going to have to miss they're going to have commitments or obligations, and we just wanted to remind everyone that this is still accessible. That's don't put off your self-care if you feel like this is the right thing for you right now, if this is going to help you and enrich your life, because we know that when we really, I mean, you said the word empowerment, self-empowerment, when we really prioritize our uniqueness and ourselves, it's really empowering, and we think everyone deserves this. And just to throw out a couple, educator terms, I feel like you just create a very student-centered, right, differentiated, individualized approach. So everyone's going to get exactly what they need. And you did also mention that in your workshops, we're still trying to find another word,
Yeah.
that you offer a lot of mentoring. What does that look like?
So I'm trying to think of, so when I went through this experience of just first kind of stepping out into this new intuitive self, it was really important for me to have someone there, because I kind of felt like sometimes what I was being asked to do. So for example, we had a class where we were given a photograph of someone. So everyone in the group brought in a photograph and then we randomly drew the picture. So we didn't know who we were reading it for. And I remember being really overwhelmed in that moment because I didn't know how to do that, because I didn't have the tools yet. I didn't know how my soul spoke to me. I didn't know how to feel into it. I didn't know, was I someone who just heard messages, or did I just know certain things, or was I going to get some kind of visual movie to tell me a story in my mind? Like, I had no idea. So I think the mentoring part is really important for some people who just need maybe a little someone to walk next to them and kind of listen and maybe cue them into certain things, because I've gone through this before and I kind of know what it feels like to just know certain things. For example, a lot of people don't, they have this inner feeling and they always have discounted it because what is that? It's just my imagination, or it's not real.
Oh.
So that's what the mentoring part is. I think that's going to be a really important component. It'll be kind of difficult for the people that are doing the recordings maybe to get that aspect, but I'll always be available via email, or if they want to do, a quick
Yeah.
Skype or a Zoom call or something, if they're really stuck or they really feel like they need someone to just listen and to give some feedback. But that's basically what it is. The workbook will give you some guidance, some questions, prompts to kind of help you start tuning in to whatever objects that we're working with that week. But I think the just saying it out loud with someone to help them validate you, or maybe give you a few more specific prompts to let you go a little bit deeper into exploring what you're getting from this object, that's what the mentoring is going to be about.
Right. And side note, I totally look forward to seeing your one-on-one mentorship offerings. I feel like that's kind of around the corner too. So, we're really excited about these workshops. I just want to encourage everyone to check out the link in the comments or whatever. We'll get the information out there and check out Christine's upcoming workshops. We're going to have so much fun. If you have any questions for me or for Christine, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. But we're really excited. Is there anything else
Yes.
you wanted to add?
No, I think that's it. I do want to say that there are so many ways that this workshop could develop, and I have a set certain classes that I think are kind of core elemental classes for where you need to start or should start. But we really can explore. So I am open, and especially in the last class, if there are certain things that people are interested in that we haven't covered or that they really feel are speaking to them. I am definitely open to kind of creating at least the last one or two classes of the series can be very open-ended too, and I can develop things. And I actually like doing that are catered specifically to the people, the participants' needs. So that's something just to put out there. If there's something that you're looking for in an intuitive class that isn't going to be covered in what I have put out in the description, shoot me an email and let me know, and I'm more than willing
Yeah.
to create it.
We're so lucky. We're just so lucky to have you. Thank you. I think that's a wrap, and we look forward to seeing
Oh,
you,
thank you.
Christine, and all our people who are really vibing with this right now. Excited to get
I'm
everything.
so excited. I'm so excited to be with other people again and just be working together and creating beautiful and magical things.
Yay, magical for sure. All right.
You
Well, we love you. And
I love you too.
see you later, Christine. See you later.
Bye.